I'm going to show you some advanced martial art techniques for healing your joints and getting them to be able to use it like the Taiji man fighting, where you're completely relaxed and using all of your Kenpo and your Jujitsu and everything all at once. So in order to do that, your body has to be able to move in any posture and then be able to harden in that posture to begin to control your opponent or let go of them or, trick them into whatever. But the secret to really understanding it as a martial art and a healing art is in where you deal with your balance. So as a young fighter, most people carry their weight just in their middle area. So they'll just try to gain their center by moving it. The older people don't have that much energy. And so the crisscross of who's the top of that mountain argument of the faster you move around here or the person with better balance. And that is the person with better balance, because the older people figured out a long time ago that the dancing was the way of the fool, right? So how do you have good balance and base? And, everybody has a different way of thinking about it. But really you want to stand as if you're on a surfboard, right? So I'm catching my balance with my toe and my center is free to be tossed and turned by a wave, but I don't want to lose my feet ever, right? So I want to be stuck to the floor. And so when you practice Tai Chi and higher arts like Jiu-Jitsu, you want to have a better understanding of your root. And the highest art, a lot of old Qigong, Shaolin, is everything is here, and everything from the ankle up is just magic marshmallow. Like, what do you think you're doing? So in any move, whether it's a punch or a kick, you're just ready to give up your space to them and latch on at the same time and throw them around. So your Jiu-Jitsu becomes smaller, your Kenpo becomes almost invisible. And here's how you get there. The older you get, the easier this has to become. So you just find yourself standing and know how you're standing. Bend your knees so that the whole system comes in. You're like a big horse toe. That's what the horse stance means, is you're on the K1 ball or balls of your feet or even your toes, and that's controlling everything because you're ready to just pounce forward. So you're not just on your heels and your toes. You're not on the ball of your feet because that's just muscle, right? You want to be on your toe because that's what the horse does. So what happens when you do that is you engage the skin on your whole body. So your balance becomes rooted in here. If you have your balance rooted in your hips, you'll be easier to tip over. But if your balance is rooted in your toes, you can shift your lower back as they push here, which pushes the foot into the heel. And now I'm catching my balance in my heel. So you have a lot more play when you use this. Joe Louis kind of made this famous by saying constant forward pressure. Well, that's what Mabu Kibadatsu horse stance, that's what that is. This now you feel it in your knees here, right? And usually what you'd find is, oh, that was a lot. Especially for a first day, Shotokan practitioner. How long do you have to stand in this horse stance? Forever. But the real secret of horse stance is pulling all of your internal structure together into your balance. So if you know that, then you can use that to align Zhong Ding, the perfect alignment in your spine, so that it's totally relaxed. I'm not tucking anything. I'm not squeezing anything. I'm just like I'm dying and on a surfboard, right? So how would I respond if the wave whipped me this way? Whew. So that's the basis of this technique that I want to show you today, is just whipping and shaking, just like the drum. So imagine you're on a surfboard, don't lose your stance. So you're just totally relaxed, like you're sleeping. And then you just turn back and forth. And here's all of your strikes, your blocks, whatever. But what you're doing is you're waking up your spine, the snake. All 33 vertebrae. Very gently and slowly. So your fight now becomes internal to you, and the shaking is your training. So you don't even need a gym anymore, because all of this is definitely healing, what I'm doing. So your movements don't become destructive. I can only do that for a couple of minutes. They become healing. First to yourself, then to your opponent eventually, when you get really good at it. But you have to be stuck into the floor. So you just have to trust. So let's say they throw a punch, right? First of all, Qigong is about plan to get hit. Rule number 1. Plan to get hit. Qigong principle number 1. Guarantee your success. Okinawa Te principle number 1. If somebody grabs you and you want to do a move, you grab them, make sure they're locked on so they can't let go. Lock them in. Kenpo, once you break the law, which is, if you're going to defend yourself, you should be doing it for defensive purposes only. So somebody has to have, and that's why the art originally is, you can prove it. They moved. If you saw me on video, you would see I did not move. Some people might call this ninjitsu in Japan, because it's the higher levels of, it's not just block, kick, punch. It's now trick, flip. Like, what'd you call that one? Well, so in Tai Chi, there's, you can simplify it. There's only 4 moves. So think about that in all the complexity of every technique you've ever learned. There's only 4 moves. And 2 of them are just copies of each other on a mirror. So you're either going up, down, left, or right. That's it. You can't do anything else. When you're attacked, you can't go backwards and forwards, because it's already right. So don't even consider that. Oh, I'll go back. Well, part of you can go back, but not the whole of you, because you're already engaged. And that's the principle I like to call fight or freeze. There is no flight, because everybody under pressure freezes or they fight back. These are your only 2 options. Running away is a fighting, because most people have to be taught to be like, run, dummy. You got to practice that, because the trauma of conflict freezes most everybody. And when you know that, then you can use it as a fighting element. Like, oh, if I ever get shocked by a combative situation, well, the first thing I'll do is relax. And then I'll use every bit of my skill to hopefully not do anything. Hopefully just do a little bit to be like, oh, what are you doing, young man? Oh, are you all right? Don't steal an old lady's purse. So stationary is power. Peace is power. That's a Taiji principle. So when you, let's say you get hit, you're just going to use up or down. Let's use down. I use down, and now I can add turn. And now I can totally get out of the way of said punch in a relaxed manner. Right? So even if I lost my balance, let's say somebody's hitting me, big punch, boom, right? I get hit. First technique here. Strong guitar, right? So this hand collects the punch, traps it on the inside. This one comes from the back, pushes it back in. So wherever this thing goes, I'm on it, right? Now I could have broken the arm right there, but I choose not to, right? So I take the hit, I lose my balance maybe. That's the throw, and hear all that energy that went into the floor? That's the power in that very relaxed throw. Or I could add a little torque at the end. So it's like, and that's how they all go flying. But you can't do any of that without having Zhongding. Your back has to be fixed. So you have to stretch out, you have to put up in between your spines. You have to push down in between each one of your spines in a vertebrae, right? So think of every disc. You want to, strengthen every torque, but not harsh, right? Remember, everything is just soft and like a wave of water. So if you feel any tension, go slow. If you hear any clicks and whistles, go really slow. Qigong and Tai Chi are teaching you that if you stay there long enough and soft enough, not like, when you tear something or break something, return to it very gently. Turn, twist, open. Don't, go for it really quick. Just very gently. And so you practice this by whenever you stand up. At first, you might have a problem with just being on one side. That might hurt. So you just want to develop being able to transfer your weight. So if this was an older person, they would do that, or hands all the way up. And maybe it's just rock to the right side for a few minutes, because that might be tension for you. And rock to the left side. And it is tension. The lighter you feel it, there's tension. That's how a masseuse can really hone into what's going on. And how a martial artist can really just go, I see you have pain in your lower abdomen. So the turning aspect of it is stretching from toe to arm, head, whatever, neck. So you want to do the same thing with your neck. And wake up your neck, because these are going to take hits. So if you can't shake, take damage to the area, build it up slowly, right? Maybe your neck is getting weaker as it gets older. So put it on that wave, right? Send that wave throughout your whole body. And maybe it's just, maybe depending on how old you are or how much damage, this might be a wave to you. And you want to feel the whole connection from toe to neck. Zhong Ding. Everything must just balance like a petite cake. So any part of it can be disrupted. Right? So this is where the Lua and Tai Chi really meet. So think about the hula dance. You want to shake, right? And shaking is your punch, or your I squeeze here, or I squeeze here, right? G. I have to put my power out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. That's it. I mean, I can push from here, but not really. So that's what developing this extra movement here, being able to grab here, when you're doing your choke escapes and all that. You're not just doing it with, okay, it's a move, it's a step. No, it's a whole, simplicity. It's like, oh, I just move like a snake from now on. And now how do I fight like a snake? Well, you wrap around and you can begin to push in angles because you're hanging on to a different part of the tree. And you can throw people off of the tree like the monkey. And the snake can become every animal. That's the secret of the snake. But the movements you would call the crane. And I believe Gordon would call it the bat, because it's like, well, first you have to wake up the skin, realize the mammal has wings. So maybe it might be if it was a technique, it's not, because it's a concept. You want to stretch out those strings on your arms by doing, these really complicated twists and turns and locks and, basically make your shoulder not have a place where it locks. That's the whole Taiji principle, is eventually you can erase all of your pain if you turn, extend, stretch, turn, twist, shake, and strike. Right? So those are the basics of Qigong. So the way I practice it, 18 minutes and 20 seconds, okay, is just this simple push up. There's up, and then I hit the top, and then I go down, right? And it turns. Right? So at no point am I ever tense, anywhere here. And I can fully rotate into this figure 8, basically, here. Right? And there's right, left, wherever you need to squeeze it. So the secret of Tai Chi, of course, is you don't have to use your legs. And some of the leg techniques are Jujitsu techniques. Watch. So eventually, the art is not, and then there's this move. No, the secret is, and then you can move with literally no effort in your hip, and then you can kick the person with no effort, right? So get on your surfboard, and here's it's like wax on, wax off. Use every joint, find every point where it's like, oh, well, that's not easy. And then just crane technique the rest of your way. So basically what I'm saying is, yeah, it feels tension and pain when I do this. So if you don't feel tension and pain when you know, what do you mean tension and pain? What's tension? What's pain? Right? That's where we want to get, and you can learn the rest of the art. Thank you. I'm Charles. Have a good day.